So all of my teaching so far this term has been online. With my online lectures, it's strange because even though this obviously wasn't the approach that we wanted to take, it wasn't how I wanted to do the teaching, I have gleaned some unexpected benefits from doing online lectures. So my lectures aren't live, they're pre-recorded and uploaded to Moodle the week ahead of the seminar. So unlike an in-person lecture, you actually have that little bit more freedom to decide when, where, how you're going to listen to your lecture, and I found that independence to be able to schedule your time has been really beneficial to me. My lecturer divides the lecture into 3 bite-sized chunks, and these chunks will be about 10 to 20 minutes long depending on what he's talking about, and I found this really good because that gives you that even more freedom to know whereabouts you are in the lecture, to be able to listen to one part on one day, another part a few hours later, or on another day. It just makes it that little bit easier to digest the information that you're being given. It's also not just one kind of hour-long audio file that you have to listen to. There is a PowerPoint slide that scrolls along as the lecturer is talking. One thing I've personally found really good is on the left-hand side, accessing captions. And that's just really good anyway for accessibility purposes, but just for me, I like having it up so I can read along with what's being said as it's being said, and again, just makes it that little bit easier for me to know what's being discussed, being able to make precise notes and so on. So I have really enjoyed doing lectures that way. With my seminars, they've all been on Zoom. And this was definitely a factor that I was apprehensive about ahead of starting term, that it would just be one kind of 2-hour long with a break in the middle, huge group call with the seminar leader, and that it wouldn't be able to have that varied learning approach that you'd expect in the in-person seminars. But I have to an extent been proven wrong on that. One thing that I've found really useful are breakout rooms that your seminar leader puts you in, and these are just smaller Zoom calls for a small amount of time with a small number of other people in your seminar for you to confer, discuss, bounce ideas off each other, and that feels a lot more like a normal seminar dynamic because that's ultimately what you're there to do. So I think if you are a little bit more apprehensive about speaking when you're on that big group call, which is totally understandable, I think it does make you feel that little bit more confident and also comfortable with speaking to students who you're obviously not seeing in person as well. There's still that social dynamic of the breakout rooms. So I found that really useful with getting used to using Zoom. My seminar leader also uses the whiteboard function, so he projects a whiteboard on the screen and everyone can kind of write stuff on the whiteboard and you have your kind of ideas all massed together. And I think that's also something where in person doing the same thing wouldn't be as easy to do. You'd be kind of collating, I don't know, like sticky notes that you've been writing on, but something like that is a lot more immediate. So I think that is an unexpected advantage from doing something online as opposed to in person. Something else that my seminar leader has used as well is the poll function. So this is obviously dependent on what you're actually learning about, but in my module this term, which is Marxism, Literature and Culture, we had a week on ideology, which is a very slippery and contested term. So we had a poll with all the different definitions of ideology, and we would vote for one and then kind of go through the poll, and people would discuss what they had voted for, justify why, and that's just a really good idea, or a good way of seeing what other people's ideas are, being able to respond to them. So I found this really useful to do.
Just like in face-to-face teaching, the teaching staff are passionate about their subject and keen to help you have the best learning experience possible in an online environment. I did a short course in Hacking the Humanities where I got to learn some coding, which was something that was really out of my comfort zone. The lectures were really clearly explained and I could go back and rewatch anything I was unsure about, which was really handy. And we also had weekly video calls as a group to go through anything, and a group chat where we could ask our peers for help. We could also have one-to-one help if there was anything we were stuck on, which was definitely something I took advantage of. Throughout the course, I felt supported and really enjoyed learning a completely new skill. The content was engaging, there wasn't anything I'd known before, so completely all new to me. And there were really interesting books I hadn't even heard peppered throughout the course, so I could go away and look at those in my own time.
We did have one in-person seminar. This was in a lecture theatre. I didn't actually turn up for that one because I didn't feel comfortable coming on campus at the time, so I remained online. So there was the Zoom running at the same time as the in-person lecture was running, and I was worried about how that was going to pan out, if I was actually going to be able to hear the people in the lecture theatre, but it was actually fine. I kind of communicated using the chat function, so I could still also convey my contributions as well as hearing the other students. So I found that a really good experience, and one that I wasn't necessarily expecting to happen. Obviously, this online learning wasn't something that we wanted to do in the first place, but I have found since doing all of mine online, I haven't felt like I've been falling back, and I haven't felt like I've been sort of deprived of either the academic or social aspects of being at uni. And I've felt really confident that my lecturers and seminar leaders have been doing the best that they can in these circumstances. So I definitely still feel grateful to them for doing all the work that they've been doing, and definitely feeling like I'm still part of the Kent academic community.
Studying face to face at Kent is fantastic. The lectures are really engaging and can involve different members of the department and occasional guest speakers, so you're hearing from people who've spent ages researching this one particular topic. The seminar classes are also quite small, so you can really get to know your peers and discuss your subject in detail, and the seminar leaders really can ask challenging questions and push you to think about texts in a way you might not have even considered. They're also really passionate and genuinely care about your learning. I've never felt I couldn't go and ask them for more help, or if I just wanted to discuss the topic in more detail, they're really happy to do that, which is really fantastic. The work set as well can be quite creative. It's not just all essays, which I really enjoyed.